Welcome to the Future Jam. We're back again for, the umpteenth time. I don't know how many times I've been doing this now, but so many times. Alex is still here. He hasn't left us.
Never gonna leave. I have nowhere else to go.
Wait, last week you said you were gonna leave.
Did I?
Yeah, you threatened.
Probably, but you and your antics mess me up.
That's true. You leave a lot of empty threats, and we're tired of it over here.
That is true. So should I leave?
Undecided. I think people have learned to like you because you're just a lovable fellow.
My mom said I'm her second favorite part of the show.
The first part is Jared. Did you listen to all the old episodes?
She said her favorite part is when it ends.
Oh gosh, why did she listen to the whole thing then?
Because I'm her son and she loves me.
Yeah, it's a tough commitment. Commitment right there. She's a very good mom. So
she is a good mom.
Very good. So yeah, let's speaking of parents, and let's jump into our first story, and that's like the dumb tech of the week. And I don't know if this is really tech, but it's using tech, and people are using it wrong. I think the people are dumb, and the tech is just kind of there.
Yeah, so we've all used Zoom or something like that over the past year and a half, a year. It's been
unfortunately. Yeah, I think we're all getting tired of it.
So the entire Oakley Union Elementary School District school board had to resign because they were having like a parent meeting, and they all got on beforehand and thought it was closed to the public. It was on there bad-mouthing parents and
yeah, they're talking
like
smack. It's pretty funny. I was reading. We're gonna post the article in the chat. My voice just cracked, but they were saying some pretty horrendous stuff about the parents. Like it's like the most horrible thing you would ever say about somebody in private. They were saying in this chat.
I don't know if it's like the most horrible thing, but it's like you're saying all the parents want to do is get the kids out so they can smoke weed, and when the kid's gone, and they just want their babysitters back and all. Know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of The Simpsons when Gabbo's on TV and Bart turns on the camera. He's like, that would teach those little SOBs. And it gets canceled. That's what this reminds me of.
I just find it funny that somebody commented in the video chat and said, hey, this is live. Everybody can see what you guys are doing. And they're like, oh, crap. Let's put it on private real quick. And then like a couple days later, they all resigned.
Yeah, because you can hear somebody say, uh-oh.
How bad do you think they felt like at that moment? Like I would probably just quit like right then and there.
I just don't know why anybody, like, unless you're like in your home or like somewhere where it's just private or like you're not being recorded or the chance of you being recorded can happen. Like, why do you say stuff like this? Like,
yeah,
you're having
a
meeting coming up. Like, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, I guess they don't realize that Zoom meetings and Teams meetings can all be recorded, and sometimes, or half the time, they are being recorded by somebody. Yeah, it just seems like I think just people aren't in general aren't used to this yet. Like especially like non-tech related people who are just kind of using these products without really looking into them.
You're seeing a lot more people like get in trouble for things, or you're reading more stories like people did stuff on Zoom and all. And like I'm overly paranoid when I'm done talking to somebody on like a phone call or like a Zoom or something like that, making sure it's all closed and all.
Yeah.
Like after we're done recording, I put the laptop away and I put it in a lead box just to make sure nothing gets out.
Yeah, I think some CEO somewhere was like in a video conference accidentally like naked, and I think another one was somebody was using the bathroom on with their camera on somehow.
Well, and then you had the guy who got stuck as a cat, and then
that was great. Yeah, that was fantastic. The guy who was, yeah. So there's lots of hijinks going on, and I think people are learning, but yeah, it's sometimes you got to learn the hard way, and unfortunately, these people. Well, I'm not saying unfortunately because these people probably deserved to lose their spot, but yeah, they're gone. They gone.
If I was one of these parents, I would have my blood pressure boiling. That takes us into our next segment, Quick Tech Bites.
All right. Our first quick tech bite of the week is Samsung watches are getting blood pressure monitoring. It's like a world's first for like a watch, like a smartwatch, which is pretty interesting. I think the Galaxy Watch 3 and the Active 2 are getting it. I think it's exciting. Lots of health-related stuff are constantly come to these watches,
Well, this is what they've always talked about, like one of the next steps that they can use the watches for is monitoring blood pressure and things like that. So yeah, it's kind of cool that Samsung's the first one to be able to do it. So they said like you have to get like a baseline. You have to do like a normal blood pressure cuff, and you can track it from there. They say you should recalibrate it every 4 weeks. But like if you're at risk of high blood pressure or things like that, it's something simple that you can always have with you now.
Yeah, I added it in there just because these watches are pretty easy to find and they're inexpensive, and that's a pretty good feature to have, especially if you're needing to monitor that. And I hear it's pretty decently accurate. It uses pulse wave analysis, and then it also tracks it with the heart rate monitoring sensors. So it uses all of those together with the original reading of the cuff, and then it basically calibrates it, and you can read it on the fly, I guess. So I think that's cool. These things keep getting better and better. So what do you think they're going to add next, Alex?
I don't know. Something maybe like
a lie detector. I think they should add a lie detector. So, anytime you tell a lie, it beeps. And that way your wife or...
Why would anybody use that?
I mean, you could put it on somebody and them not knowing it, and then when they're lying to you.
Yeah, like you can set up the app on their watch and they wouldn't...
Yeah. Honey, my watch keeps beeping. I don't know what's the deal. And they're like, I know.
Well, we know that you're a chronic liar, so this would be bad for you, Mike.
That's true. Let's just jump into the next quick tech bite. Next one is Spotify is getting HiFi lossless streaming later this year. And I don't know if you're big into audio. Like I'm a decent audiophile. I like having high quality like headphones and speakers and all of that. So I think this is an interesting idea because, Spotify usually has like okay sound quality, but sometimes it's not the best.
Well, yeah, so they are the biggest provider of streaming music, Spotify.
Yeah, by far. Yeah.
So, and like a couple other like Tidal.
Yeah, there's Tidal that's popular. Is that owned by Jay-Z?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay, so there's Tidal, and then there's also Amazon has one, which I don't think many people even know Amazon has a MP3 service.
They do. I think my brother has the music service. But they have like the high-end quality on a couple of things, but it costs more money. I think Tidal is $20 for the high-end. Amazon's like $12.99 with Prime. I think it's like $14.99 without it. So Spotify does say it's going to cost more for this feature, but they didn't say how much. I have Spotify. I probably wouldn't pay for it.
No.
Unless I don't care that much.
Do you even have like really good speakers that you could even cast it to or anything like that?
Not really. You know me, I don't pay too much for like headphones or things like that.
Honestly, I tried out the Amazon one and I also tried out Tidal, and I couldn't tell much difference. And that's what it always comes down to is with the audio, it's really hard to tell a difference unless you are in a perfect environment and you know exactly what you're listening for. So I think people might be paying for this and not knowing what they're buying, or like they're thinking they're getting better quality, but they probably won't even hardly notice it, honestly.
No, and
it's wasted money, but it's a good way to milk it extra money from your customers.
Yeah, especially people who think like, because they say it's going to be like CD quality is what it's kind of called. So it's going to be interesting to see who actually buys this, because I think some people are like, oh, I want the best quality.
Yeah.
Will pay for it. I'm just not one of those people.
I will give it, like, if they have a free trial, I'll give it a go just to see. I have a decent set of speakers, and I'll compare it to my YouTube music, which, as I said before, is not that great, but commercial-free YouTube. So, yeah, I'll compare it, and I doubt I'll switch. So, yeah.
Well, maybe in the future you can try it in virtual reality on your PS5.
I know this story I added in kind of late, but I'm super pumped because I wanted to get VR on PS4, but there was tons and tons of wires shooting all over the place, and the actual the video screens on the VR glasses were like 720p monitors. So this one they haven't given any specifics yet, but they just said VR2, the PlayStation VR2 is coming probably next year. They did say it's going to have one wire. So not a whole like bird's nest of wires, and it's going to have new controllers with like the added haptic feedback and adaptive triggers and all that marketing, nonsense.
Yeah. That's pretty much all they said about it.
Yeah, but I just wanted that in there just because I'm excited because I've been waiting to get a VR headset, and I think this is the one I'm going to get if it's a good price.
Well, it makes me think that the one on the PS4 did sell well enough that they think this is something that people are going to want in the future, especially with Oculus kind of doing the thing that PlayStation doesn't want to really give up any ground in the video game world, and this is a way that they can stay competitive.
Yeah, they have a lot of exclusive titles. I think the last I checked, the original PSVR probably sold 2 to 3 million units, which I guess it's all right for a very niche product. I think they're hoping to build upon that, and like obviously with the PS5 having more power, they can really push that good.
So it's kind of nice to see that that they're still pushing what they can do with the PS5. It's just the beginning of what they're trying to do, and it's going to snowball and get better and better.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's get into our normal stories of the week. Our first one is I think you put this out in the chat, but House Republicans propose a nationwide ban on municipal broadband networks. Yeah, I thought this was kind of sad.
Well, it's dumb. It's stupid. This goes for like big business. The people for this are like Comcast and Spectrum, your big internet providers. So what it is the Connect Act. Communities overregulating network need economic competition today.
Yeah, I that acronym is so dumb.
Well, like it makes it sound like it's like helping people, but what it is like certain cities and certain towns have their own internet.
Yeah, the government provides internet or like cheaper internet or sometimes free.
Like Chattanooga has it, and like it's really well received, and like people like it, and it's cheaper. But they want to put a stop to that these cities can't do it. Yeah, they said that, I think I read that if there's an existing one already, they couldn't expand further. And they had to quit doing it if there was not enough like competition in the area. Yeah, if there was more than one competition, they had to stop doing it. Or if there was one. It's confusing. It's confusingly worded. But basically what they want to do is they want to stop governments from building new Wi-Fi or like internet networks so companies can keep their semi-monopoly to monopoly status so they don't lose out on customers, quote unquote. I didn't realize 20 states already have restrictions on municipal networks, but Arkansas is one of them, and they're slowly rolling that back to be able to have municipal networks. Yeah. I think the pandemic showed a lot of companies, a lot of cities and states that you kind of need it, especially with like kids learning from home and all, and like a lot of kids, especially in the inner city or like rural areas, might not have internet. Well, that's always the big issue with like areas where there's not a lot of money is companies won't like add additional service lines into those areas unless they know they're going to get the money return on their investment. So there's not going to be a lot of competition in those areas, and then people are going to be stuck paying higher prices because there's no competition. So the government jumped in to have their own service to kind of help people out and, you know, make sure people have access. And companies don't like that. They would rather, you know. Like, I wouldn't mind it being a thing like, well, it's like a utility that you pay for, like electricity or water, where you can just, it's part of like your taxes or something that pays for internet throughout your city or town. And I guess that's something that we have in life now. Because it's becoming more and more of a necessity for a lot of people. I could see the government like having some sort of like
base like level of internet, and then if you wanted like certain additional add-ons from there, then you could pay for it. I don't know. There's probably different ways of going around it, but yeah, I'm kind of wary to give the government the full control over stuff, just because they mess stuff up as well. So
Yeah.
I just don't want the ball in one side's court completely, because somebody's gonna get screwed out.
Yeah, I agree. But like the good thing is that this is most likely not to pass. That's through the House, so I don't think a lot of people are on board with it anyway. But
yeah, the article said, we'll post in the show notes, but the article said that they pretty much say it's just a statement. They're making a statement. It's not really gonna have any chance of passing.
Yeah, that's trying to look good for their donors,
their constituents, or they're whoever's lobbying. Yeah, they're trying to show a good, pretty face. But
well, hopefully we have the right information and we're not getting wrong information from Twitter.
I get what you're saying. We didn't find this story on Twitter, but yeah, basically we're jumping into our next story, and I don't think we covered this on a previous episode. I meant to add it into show notes on a previous one, but back in January, Twitter launched a fact-checking campaign called Birdwatch. Great name. I guess they hired a bunch of birds, and they're not great at finding out false information, honestly. But Alex is shaking his head at me, so I'll continue.
That joke was awful.
I know. But basically what they did was, it's kind of like a volunteer system, and they have I think 1,000 people right now signed up, and
yes,
they will go through and quote unquote fact check tweets for accuracy or whatever. Then let's call in this third party group came in to fact check the fact checkers, which is always fantastic. You always need that. And they found a lot of flaws in this Birdwatch.
Yeah, so what it's supposed to be is like somebody posts something, like say Mike posted, "Hey, I'm the coolest guy in the world." And then somebody's like, I can fact check this, and reply, like, supply a source or cite a source with the correct information that I am the coolest guy in the world.
Wait a minute. 5 out of 10 birds definitely think I am the coolest guy. So
what they found out is most of the citations and the sources that people weren't using weren't reliable, and like it had political leanings. And like the one guy posted about like the election being rigged, and the one source that somebody posted that verify it was the guy's own source. Like, so that's a terrible idea. Twitter's a terrible place when it comes to like
fact
information.
Yeah, information, yeah. Like reliable information.
And like people are gonna support no matter what, like what they like say.
Yeah, basically,
like what they believe.
Yeah, if it was like a Republican post, people would like immediately downvote it and say, "No, this is misinformation," or vice versa. They found a lot of flaws. Like,
well, and then you could say if a source was helpful or credible, and only 7% of these reports were considered helpful.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the ones they flagged, they didn't even put in their notes like their reference. Like you're supposed to add references and comments, and they said a vast majority of them they didn't even add references at all.
Yeah, so the issue is Twitter they want to seem like they are checking every tweet, but they can't. There's a lot of tweets, and they don't want to pay people to do it.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So like this was like a way to crowdsource fact-checking information, and it's just a terrible idea.
And the most passionate people that were doing this, they said like 3% of the 1,000 people were the ones that were fact-checking the most. So like out of the 1,000 people, only a couple of those people were mostly active. And those people were the most passionate about like, oh, this person's wrong and that person's wrong. They're biased. Like basically the people who are most likely to be involved were like the most biased of like picking one over the other.
Yeah, you really just want to fact check Twitter. If you see something that you don't know is true, just look it up yourself.
Yes. Or just stay in your bubble and just agree with everything. You know, that's just the safest thing to do nowadays. It's just agree. Just say, yep, you're correct. Yep.
Don't argue with people.
You posted a good joke the other day, so.
Which one was that?
Not you. No, I said people in I would never say you posted a good joke, Alex.
That's true. I don't really post anything.
Yeah.
I retweet the Future Jam, and that's about it.
No, you did post a joke the other day, but I don't remember what it was.
It wasn't about solar panels, was it?
No, I don't know. Oh, I see what you're doing.
No, it's all about the segues today.
You are great at segues.
Yeah,
today.
you have to stay on the ball.
Yeah, I'm off the ball, but yeah, great segue into the next story. And scientists recently unearthed a consequence of placing tons of solar panels in the Sahara Desert. I guess that was a proposed thing to do over the last couple years, is to blanket the Sahara Desert in solar panels just because it's just unused space.
No, it's unused, and they say most solar panels in like deserts is like the best area for them.
Yeah, it is, and it makes sense. There's lots of empty space. You know, who cares about lizards and snakes? So,
but it's like the only thing you're worried about, like if you accidentally wake a mummy, then you release the mummy on the world.
I mean, speak of bad jokes, you you got me earlier, so I'll get you right back. But yeah, so on paper, everybody thought this was a great idea, but then they did like what most scientists do. They use computers now, and they ran simulations, and come to find out, blanketing the Sahara Desert is probably not the best idea in the world. And what they found is when you blanket it over 20%, I guess 20% is that like sweet spot. If you go above that, it does what they like to call a feedback loop.
No, there was like a couple different things. There's a couple different reports. So like they're saying 20%. If they can get 20%, they're saying most of the world's, all the world's like electricity would be able to be run through the solar panels in the Sahara if they got the 20%. So that's like what their goal was.
Oh, okay.
But they do like this feedback loop, and like with the, you have to read the article. I won't do it justice explaining it. But like what is do like add moisture to the area and like cool it a little bit, and things will be able to live in the Sahara Desert.
Yeah, so like once you got above that 20% level, basically it changed the whole like ecosystem. So it generates more like moisture, and then more clouds, more rainfall, and then you get like trees and plants, and
which sounds good at first.
It sounds awesome, yeah. So they're like, wow, this is great. Yeah, it would make the Sahara Desert no longer a desert. It could be a usable space. But then they did another study, and they found out that you have to take the entire globe into account when you're doing this stuff. And they found that just the slight 1.5 degree uptick from these solar panels, because it would heat this basically they're saying that solar panels generate more heat than sand, like as they absorb the sunlight. So basically that slight heat uptick will raise the heat across the whole like globe. So it would melt the ice caps. It would raise temperatures throughout the country or the world, and it would just make a ripple effect that you probably wouldn't like the results.
Yeah, they're saying like it would maybe dry out the Amazon more. There would be monsoons in Australia. There would be more bigger storms in like North America and Eastern or Western Europe. More cyclones, and like part of the Sahara Desert, like a lot of the sand is used for nutrients throughout the rest of the world, like how it blows around. Like I think this year you were able to see like there was like a haze over parts of the country because the Sahara Desert sand blew over, and like it does it every year, and like it provides a lot of nutrients for a lot of things. So yeah, it's just like a giant pile, like giant landmass of sand, but it does do a lot for the globe. So it's like interesting. And they're saying like this is like the Sahara Desert used to be wet, but it's like the past 5,000 years where it dried up. And that's when you see like the changes and all. And
So I guess what we're trying to say is we probably want to stick with the Earth's natural cycle and probably don't want to throw that off too much, like through man-made stuff, and doing this to save like fossil fuels and all that stuff. We would probably be harming the actual globe in the process. So I guess
spread out your
spread them out.
Spread out your solar panels.
But that's just not something I've ever thought of. Like I didn't think adding that many solar panels would this type of problem. Like I'm glad people are running like programs and stuff to figure this out. But yeah, I just would never have guessed that adding solar panels in the desert would cause so much like ripple effect.
Yeah, I had no idea. But I do think you're overestimating how many solar panels there are. That's like Facebook overestimated how many users and reach they had.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is our next story, and good segue. Facebook has once again been accused of knowingly inflating its ad audience. And I think we've discussed this before on a previous episode, but I think Facebook used to pump up the views of their videos where like people would watch it for like 5 seconds and they would count that as a view and get more ad revenue. So Facebook knows how to like twist the data to get more money out of their corporate customers. But basically what they did was they included a lot of fake accounts or duplicate accounts or, into their algorithm. So say you're buying an ad, like we could buy an ad for a show and it would tell you, oh, this ad will reach 2,500 people. They are inflating that number. They know that that's not true, but you're being sold a bill of lies.
Yeah, so like you were saying, back in 2016, were overstating user video views.
Allegedly.
They end up, but they end up paying out $40 million in 2019. But in 2018, a project manager came to them and said, hey, we're providing wrong charges for these wrong numbers for how many users we have. In like some cases, they will say there's this many users in a city, and there was more people that lived in the city that they were reporting. But I guess the executive at the time that was in charge of it said, if we give them real numbers, it's going to affect our bottom line, and we don't necessarily know if these numbers are false.
Legit
it really
or not,
came down, yeah. So it really came down to if they said this, they were worried about it affecting the revenue. But like, are you surprised that Facebook would do this? Well, the majority of the money comes from ad revenue.
No, I'm not surprised at all. Like Facebook will manipulate data, Google manipulates data. They're gonna do it. It's not surprising.
But side note, if you want to advertise on the Future Jam, we get like 250,000 listeners per episode. So
correct, yeah.
It's a big market you can reach.
Oh, huge market, yeah. Hit us up with your razors you want to sell or bras or whatever.
He said bra. This is funny. So I ordered a St. Patrick's Day shirt for my son this year.
Yeah.
He's 3. And the package came the other day. And instead of my son's St. Patrick's Day shirt, it was a red lacy bra.
Whoa. What'd your son say? Did he enjoy his new bra?
No, my wife sent me a picture of it. She's like, his shirt came today, but it's not this. So I don't know.
You have some explaining to do, Alex.
But I got the shirt on clearance. So my wife was like, "Should we just try to sell the bra?"
I bet you the bra is probably worth more money than that shirt.
Oh, it's definitely worth a lot more money than the shirt. So like, should we just not say anything and sell the bra?
Might as well
make some money. Yeah, but yeah, it's just like, I don't know, more and more like Facebook just keeps getting in trouble for something. Like, you think they're gonna learn by now, like. But I also think this is like why you're seeing Facebook trying to push into like making watches, and I think they must know that their numbers are going down, because I feel like they kind of are.
Yeah, they've kind of plateaued, or I doubt their user numbers are. I think I looked at it a while ago, and they're not like seeing super like growth year over year with users. I think it's as they go into new markets to see growth, but like in America, I think they're kind of stagnant or about the same. Yeah, I just don't really see them as a good place to click on an ad and buy something either. Like most of the stuff, like we talked about this before, like TikTok always has like shady ads, and Facebook's the same way. I feel like half the ads I see are like a Chinese company that like quickly makes a product and then like puts a fancy looking brand on it, and then you look into it and like, oh, okay, this is just like a cheaply made shirt.
Yeah. Well, if you see an ad for cheap chips for your electronics, you should buy them.
You should buy them. Yeah. A huge problem through 2020 and continuing on into 2021. I guess it's always been a problem, but the demand of stuff was just really high last year, and I feel like they couldn't keep up. So what we're talking about is people couldn't get their hands on PS5s, graphics cards like the RTX 3060, Xbox Series X, all of those. They were just impossible to get, and nonstop complaints about scalpers getting them before the customers somehow. I guess they write bots that can buy them really quick from like Walmart or Best Buy or whatever. But a kind of like a legend in the business of gaming, John Carmack, proposed recently in like an interview that companies should do in auctions themselves, like GPU and console auctions. So instead of like a scalper getting the product and selling it on eBay, he thinks the company should just keep that profit themselves and auction the products off to customers.
Yeah, he thinks somehow this is going to go against third-party people because they won't be willing to pay more money for these products. But then you're also paying more money as the
yourself
consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound great. Yeah.
Part of the issue with the shortage is there's a chip shortage, especially with the pandemic going on.
Yeah.
The chips for these systems just aren't being made and produced as fast as they used to. Like Xbox is saying there's going to be a shortage until June. But the issue is like, yeah, what you're saying is people buying them up and then reselling them. And the annoying thing about these people is like, oh, we're doing people a service who couldn't get it. Well, if you didn't buy 15 of them, maybe they could just paid the normal price from it. You're being a jerk. You're not doing anybody a favor for anybody.
No, we all hate scalpers, but we also don't want to give companies this additional cash either for a product that would normally cost way less. So what his thought is this. He's like, well, if the product is selling for $1,000 on eBay, or this graphics card selling for $1,227, then that's hyperinflated. But he's thinking this is actually the true value of the system. So that's what the company should sell for, like in auction, or like, how auctions work. The price gets driven up. I don't see how this is good for consumers at all. Like,
no, it's not good for consumers, and most people don't pay that price. Most people still get them through like the normal channels.
Yeah.
So like your Best Buy, where you're paying what was it, $500 for the new PlayStation? You're paying that price.
And I think if the PS5 was indeed at $1,000, I don't think the demand would be there either. I think like if the PS5 was $1,000, I personally would just wait.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that wouldn't pay it.
No, it's just like, so it's just the people who are very like, I have to have this would pay for it, and that's the people that are paying it for it from scalpers. But I think that's a small group of people. I don't think the vast majority of people are gonna pay scalper prices.
Well, it's the people who said like, "Oh, I got one," or like that's all their kid wanted for Christmas, and then they waited till the last minute, and then decided like, oh, I need to get this and I'm willing to pay whatever. That's what they're preying off of.
Yeah, but I do think they need to come up with better ways to like buy these systems off of like a Best Buy or a Walmart, just because it just gets sold out so fast and there's no way of verifying if it's a bot that purchased it or like a human. I don't know. I mean, there has to be a better way to do it.
there's companies that all they do is buy this stuff and then resell it on the market. Like,
Yeah.
how's that? Like like PlayStation doesn't care. Like they're making no money no matter who buys it. They can say that they want to stop it,
Yeah.
but like they don't care.
Why don't they just do what, like for video games, like just do a pre-order where everybody pre-buys it and then basically first come first serve. They just ship these out. Well,
that's what they did with the PlayStation, but the issue was so many people.
They did, but it was limited. Like you could only pre-order it for the pre-order window was open for like 5 minutes, and then it was all the pre-orders were sold out.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like just leave it open forever,
and then people can buy it when it's available.
And people buy it now and then get it shipped as soon as it's available. Like, why don't they do that? They don't want to hold on to customers' money for that long, or they think the return cost is going to be a lot if somebody finds it somewhere else. I don't understand.
So that's what we did. My wife got this thing called a Nugget for the kids. It's kind of like a build, like mats, and they sell out really fast. But like, she was able to pay for one. Like buy one, and they're like, oh, when your cycle will be coming up in a couple months. Yeah. And when it was ready, it's like, oh, it's ready when they mailed it out to us.
So the thing is I almost think they don't want to fix this because this generates additional like excitement for the device, and like people like constantly talk about it. So it's like free advertising.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
Once they sell the product, they really don't care what you do with it.
No.
Like who buys it, who resells it. They can talk a big game, but they really don't care.
Yeah, sometimes companies do this on purpose where it's called artificial scarcity, and that generates like demand or like excitement. So yeah, I think in the end, they, like you said, they don't care. It's just another way to generate excitement for their product. So
you want to get into all those quick follow-up stories that we have?
Yeah, let's do it. What's the first one you brought up was WhatsApp? What was that about?
Yeah,
what was that
about? No, they were. They had the update that you had to update the privacy settings to let Facebook see your information on the WhatsApp because Facebook owns WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So if you don't, they just announced that if you don't agree to the new privacy settings, which it's causing a lot of people to leave Facebook. If you don't agree to the privacy settings starting May 15th, you'll lose the ability to read and send messages, which is 95% of the functions of WhatsApp. You can still make and receive calls, but does anybody really use it for that?
I don't know. Who calls?
But so they announced that, and then eventually you'll lose the ability to make and receive calls. And
I still think that everybody's making a big deal about nothing because everybody knows WhatsApp was bought by Facebook. Also, on top of that, the messages are encrypted end to end, so Facebook can't even read the messages anyways. The only person that can read the message is like if you're communicating with a business.
Yeah, and this is what they can sell it to advertisers and all. The only reason it's a big deal and people are leaving it is because Elon Musk said people should stop using it because of it.
I mean, if it's a good platform and you like it, just stick with it. Like there's no such thing as a free product that doesn't like have like an ulterior motive. They all are trying to generate money somehow. So if you're jumping ship to another free product, there's, it's just switching out one devil for another devil.
Yeah, just give all these companies time, and they all become giant companies. This is what they do.
So I think these people are just making much to do about nothing. But I guess if I was passionate about WhatsApp, I would say no. I refuse to agree to this. Do people even read? People don't even read these things ever anyways. They just click accept. Like, I don't know who even found out about this.
I think some people do read it and then see something and then they tweet it out or write an article about it. And I'm telling the biggest thing had to be the Elon Musk tweeting about it. And that's when everybody got up in arms about it.
He likes to cause a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And then our last...
He calls Chamo about his company and then he throws a fit.
He does. And another drama company is Google.
Oh yeah, you brought this one, and because you like video games.
Yeah, we've been knocking Stadia for a while. actually, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I made a solo podcast where I was super excited about Stadia. I don't know if you listened to it or not, but I did like a 15-minute...
the Stadia cast?
Yeah, something like that. I did a 15-minute episode where I was so excited by the announcement. Like, I was so pumped. I released an episode like that night or the next day, and I was so excited about the... what's the whole thing? Expectation versus reality. Like, they built up so much expectation, and then the reality of the product was just not great. We talked about it, was it last week, where basically they laid off all their developer staff?
Yeah, so they announced that they weren't making any in-house games anymore. You're going to still have Stadia, but they're not going to actually make games for it. And part of the lure was they were going to have their own games, which they technically still have some of their own games.
I didn't know they actually did release their own game, because for some reason this slipped by me. I guess Stadia is not generating much publicity, so I didn't even know they had one released, but they had one from a studio they bought, Typhoon Studios, which again, I didn't know they bought this studio either. So they made a game called Journey to the Savage Planet. I think it's available on other platforms.
Yeah, so it was available on other platforms, and then they bought them, and then they released it on Stadia.
So when they got fired, I guess the game was in a buggy state, and a lot of people were complaining for like a couple weeks that they couldn't basically boot into the game, or it was freeze up, or there was a lot of issues. And Typhoon Studios are like, sorry, we can't help, because we don't have access to that anymore because we were all fired. Let go. So, this became a huge issue. There's a lot of articles written on about there, like how basically Google's dropping the ball on all of this. They don't know. They really didn't know what the gaming industry was, honestly.
Yeah, I really think they bit off more than they can chew. They were like, well, Google, we can do this. And like every gaming company, from like studios to like the console makers, struggle in this genre. It's not the section makes money. Video games make money.
Yes, more than movies.
Yeah, but you have to be good at it.
You have to be good at it.
A lot of studios start up and fail, and like there's a lot of consoles that come out and just fail horribly. And like Google just thought they could get into this, but yeah, they weren't updating or fixing the game at all. And so people called out to the publisher of 505 Games, and they're like, Google owns the game now, so anybody who's going to fix it, it's going to be Google. And they eventually fixed it, but I don't think they realized any of this with video games. Like,
no. And also, I think Google didn't really do the research, because one group of people you never want to piss off is gamers. Like, gamers are the most easily upsettable customer group I could ever imagine. Like, they will whine and moan about any little thing. And I'm like, well, I don't know why you'd want to get into this market if you're not 100%, because if you do and you mess up, you're going to have like customers that hate you for life.
Well, look at Cyberpunk 2077. But like, they had so many issues for the PS4. They should have never released it on the PS4.
Did you know it's still not back in the PlayStation Store yet?
I heard on the PS5 it's incredible.
It's still not in the PlayStation 5 store either. You have to buy a disc copy at like Best Buy or something.
I heard people complaining because you could return the game and they will give you your money back, and they gave people the money back, but they also took back the game, and people were complaining because they wanted the money back, but also to keep the game.
Yeah, they should have beat it. They should have beat it first and then asked for the money back. Jeez.
Yeah. So the game was just full of buggies, and all it was just like there's people bashing it, and they had to pull the game because it was just so bad.
But that's how easily things can turn, because before that game came out, CD Projekt Red, the company behind it, they were like one of the most beloved companies in gaming. They were known as like the company that gave away free stuff. Like, oh, we don't charge for all this additional content. We pay our people right. Supposedly we don't, like have people work endless hours and all that. But they got exposed over the last couple of years, and basically they're just like any other gaming company. They have their corporation and they have flaws. So, you want to jump into our Twitter poll of the week, Alex?
Yeah. So this is exciting if you like this type of stuff.
I love animals. I love them.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about cloned animals?
I don't know. That's kind of iffy. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
This story was sent to us by a listener.
Wow.
So, on December 10th, a black-footed ferret was born. An animal that was supposed to be extinct for 30 years was cloned from an animal that died off from a...
Basically, they had a sample of the DNA, I guess.
Yeah, so they had a sample that they saved, and they kind of just froze it and waited until they had the technology. And by all accounts, the animal's fine. It is actually kind of interesting. The black-footed ferret was thought to be extinct for a long time. And then in 1981, they found like a group of them. And then they used like the last of this group. But yeah, so they cloned one, and I guess cloning is more popular than I thought.
Yeah, I
2020
was surprised.
They cloned the Mongolian wild horse, which is like an almost extinct animal. There's not many left. I know you can get your dog or cat cloned, and that's like 40 or 50 grand.
Yeah, I've actually heard of the cloning of your dog. Like I've heard that one before, but I didn't hear about like cloning like black-footed ferrets.
Ferret.
Yeah. Are you sure they're just not painting the feet of regular ferrets black and just kind of like, hey, here you go.
You could have showed me a regular ferret and called it that, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Sweet, they're back. They're all like, I hear that pretty much all the North American ferrets and creatures like it are kind of endangered anyways. They actually gave him the coronavirus vaccine.
Well, they said, like, I guess these type of ferret ate prairie dogs, and once, like, ranchers, like, found a way, like, to kill and get rid of prairie dogs, it really cut down on the food supply, so kind of wiped them out.
Oh.
But, like, how do you feel about clone animals for, like, extinct animals or just, like, endangered animals?
Well, we saw that it didn't work out well in the documentary Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 2.
That was a scary documentary.
Yeah. So we saw it didn't work out in that. Now, in all seriousness, I think it's awesome. Like, I've been wanting them to clone woolly mammoths for the longest time, and I hope that happens.
This is where we differ. I think there's like should be a time limit on like how far back you go when like an animal was supposed to exist. Like, I'm fine with this. It was like the past 100 years. It's not like a big like species.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go back to like the woolly mammoths or the saber-toothed tigers.
Yeah, maybe not saber-toothed tigers. That seems a little extreme. But what if there was like a zoo where they had all of these prehistoric creatures or like older creatures? That'd be cool. Wouldn't you go to a zoo that had a woolly mammoth and a saber-toothed tiger?
Not really. No, I don't know. Like, I think, I don't know, like you always talk about like, oh, should we play God? Like, these animals like were clearly killed off because of man.
Yeah.
Like, the other animals were wiped out.
Yeah, I guess if they're naturally just died just from like the earth changing, I guess that's what was meant to be. But if we killed them all off, then yeah, I think they should get another chance. Like, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I think a big one that they're trying to do next is like the passionate pigeon. But I guess birds are a lot harder to do than mammals to clone.
I don't know why birds are harder to clone. Probably because
hollow bones.
Hollow bones. Yeah, obviously we don't know anything about cloning.
They said
it's cool.
Big part of it is the egg. Is like getting them in the egg. Is like the hard part of it. I started to read about it and then I stopped.
But they can't clone like make believe creatures like Bigfoot or something like that, right?
You mean real animals like Bigfoot? Well, they would have to get DNA from Bigfoot first, which is really hard.
Oh yeah,
it's good at hiding.
I think I found a Bigfoot.
No, really?
Or it might have been a tall man
with a beard.
Yes.
No, like I can see like definitely for like endangered species like now, like the black rhinos and all that are really endangered. Like trying to get clone those, like to build those populations back up, like stuff like that. I'm fine with. But like, what do you feel about? You have a dog that you somewhat like.
Yeah.
Would you pay to have your dog cloned if he were to pass?
Probably upwards of $1,500 maybe. I don't know. It's kind of creepy. Why? I'd kind of just want to start a new relationship with a fresh dog.
One fresh dog, please. Right off the assembly line.
Yeah.
No, like how do you, but like also like when you, I just don't know how cloning works really. Like, is it going to be exactly the same as the other dog, like behavioral wise, or are they going to be different? It's like, do your experience shape, like the dog's experience shape, like the type of dog?
I think this is the whole nature versus nurture argument. So if you raise them exactly the same, I'm kind of curious. It would probably be very hard to tell the difference between that dog and the previous dog.
Because it's like, if you clone people, like, would that person be the same? Like, would I, if somebody cloned me, would I be exactly the same?
Well, twins are basically clones of each other for the most part, like identical twins.
I do not condone this theory that all twins are the same.
But they don't. I mean, that's the closest thing I can think of, and I think twins tend to have like different personalities a lot of times or whatever. But
so why clone a human? Because that's like the next. Would that be like the ultimate step? Is to clone a human?
Well, I think it wouldn't necessarily be cloning humans to clone like I want my great uncle Rupert back or whatever. I think.
Oh, he was awesome.
He is pretty awesome. I think it would be more of like to get a clone of. They're probably gonna find a way to like play around with the DNA to like, I want a child that's like 6'5" and this hair color and this intelligence level. So there's gonna be like ready order kids that people can like.
Can you already kind of do that, right?
Yeah, I think there's ways you can do some of this. And I think it's kind of borderline sketchy and not right.
You ever see like the movie The Island? Spoiler if you haven't seen the movie The Island.
Oh, yes, a beloved classic.
With Ian McGregor,
yeah.
Right? Is he in it? Well, like, spoiler alert. I don't know how long ago that movie came out, but like,
I think it was like 2008 or 7.
All these rich people have clones of themselves on like this island, and the clones don't know that they're clones. But like, so when they get sick or need a new like organ or something like that, they just kill the clone and take it from them. It's not a bad movie.
Is that a Michael Bay movie? Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was Michael Bay. So
was it really?
Yeah, it was back when he was. I think it was his movie before Transformers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I didn't mind it. I thought it was good.
Came out 2005. So when I was in the year I graduated. So it's a lot older than I thought. Yeah, I did see it in theaters, and yeah, going off that movie, no, clones should not exist for humans. No.
Yeah. But our Twitter poll is going to be: what would you rather see cloned? Humans, your dog or cat, dinosaurs, or endangered or extinct recent animals?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Dinosaurs is a hard no for me.
Dinosaurs, just because of that, Steven Spielberg scared you away big time from that.
Oh, it was more the Land Before Time movie scared me away from that.
Well, they're not animated. Like, if you clone them, they wouldn't be like looking animated. Like, they'd be real.
Well, have you seen like the new ideas of like what dinosaurs like? Because they said they were more closely related to birds.
Yeah, they're not exciting. Like
feathers.
That took the whole excitement out of it for me. Like as soon as I saw a dinosaur with feathers on it, I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I don't really care anymore.
I thought they looked scarier with feathers on.
Yeah, of course they look way scarier, but not as cool.
Yeah, but no desire.
Maybe if I grew up with feathered dinosaurs in my childhood, then I would have a different feeling about it. But yeah, feathered dinosaurs, not right. Does not fit right in my head. But yeah, that's the Twitter poll. Last week, I don't have the actual stats for the last week's poll, but you can actually jump on the Future Jam at the Future Jam on Twitter and see what the last week's poll was and see the results. And we'll post this one up probably Thursday or Friday this week. Yeah, you could also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all the places at the Future Jam. And if you want to leave us a message, 513-BOT-COLA, 513-BOT-COLA. And basically, just let us know if we got a story wrong, or if you wanted to have us cover something, or if you had some additional insight on something, feel free to leave us a message. It'd be great to hear from you.
Give us an email at thefuturejam@gmail.com.
Yes, we didn't spring for a domain name, so we're just giving it right to Google. But yeah, that's all the place you can reach us. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.